I can't marry you. He's my true what if, she cried, calling off our wedding for her ex. So I canceled everything and sued her for the deposits. Now the what if guy ghosted her, and she's stuck paying me back monthly. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I thought I was one of the lucky ones. After 4 years together, I honestly believed Sophie and I were the kind of couple people envied, steady, compatible, predictable in the best way. We met in college, stayed together through first jobs and tight budgets, and by the time I proposed, everyone around us said we were meant to be. I believed it too. She said yes before I even finished asking. The proposal wasn't fancy, just the two of us at a quiet lake where we used to go when life got heavy. She cried, hugged me, said, "You always make me feel safe." I remember thinking, that's all I ever wanted to do. We set a date for the following summer. I handled most of the logistics, deposits for the venue, catering, photographer, florist. I'm a planner by nature. I like things locked down early. Sophie was more of a dreamer, scrolling Pinterest boards and making mood collages of wedding colors. I didn't mind. She'd get excited about centerpieces and then leave the budgeting to me. It felt balanced. I handled the real-world stuff. She brought the creativity. Looking back, there were warning signs buried in that balance. She'd sometimes joke, "You're the stable one, and I'm the emotional one." I thought it was just self-awareness. I didn't realize she meant it literally. In the months leading up to the wedding, she started getting distant. Not cold exactly, just distracted. Always on her phone. Always sighing about how fast everything's moving. I assumed it was pre-wedding nerves. Everyone gets cold feet, right? One night we were sitting on the couch, going through the guest list, when she just stared off into space. I asked if she was okay. She said quietly, "Do you ever think about what your life would have been like if you'd made different choices?" I laughed it off. "You mean like if I hadn't asked you out sophomore year?" She smiled faintly. "No. I mean like, if you'd said yes to someone else. Or I had." That's when I felt something tighten in my chest. "Where's that coming from?" I asked. She shrugged. "Just, you know how people have their what-ifs? I just think about mine sometimes." I didn't know what to say. Everyone has past relationships. Hers was Dylan, her college boyfriend before me. They dated for about a year. She once told me he was her first love, but also said it was messy and immature. She always framed it like a lesson learned. So I asked, carefully, "You mean Dylan?" Her eyes flicked up to mine like I'd read her mind. "Not really. Just that time in my life." She went quiet for the rest of the night. I told myself not to overthink it. Everyone gets reflective before big life changes. Over the next few weeks, though, I noticed it more. She'd look at our save the dates with a sort of nervous expression. When I talked about honeymoon plans, she seemed distracted. She'd scroll through her old Instagram posts, the ones from college, linger on photos that had nothing to do with me. Then one night, I came home late from work, and she was sitting at the kitchen table staring at her phone like she'd seen a ghost. When she noticed me, she flipped its screen down instantly. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah," she said too quickly. "Just tired." I remember standing there, looking at the woman I was supposed to marry, and realizing for the first time that something was slipping. We went to dinner the next weekend with her parents, and she acted completely normal, smiling, laughing, bragging about the honeymoon suite we'd booked in Maui. But in the car ride home, she turned to me and said, "Do you ever worry we're just doing what's expected?" "What do you mean?" She sighed. "Getting married, settling down, being the good couple everyone expects us to be. What if we're just safe?" I looked at her, confused. "Isn't that a good thing?" She hesitated, then said softly, "It's good. It's just, maybe too good." I didn't even know how to respond to that. That night, she curled up beside me in bed, but she felt miles away. I remember staring at the ceiling and wondering if maybe she was just nervous about commitment. Maybe she needed reassurance. So I told her, half asleep, "I know things feel scary right now, but we're going to have a great life together, sophomore. We've worked for this." She whispered, "I know," and squeezed my hand. But there was a long pause before she added, "You really are the safest person I know." At the time, I took it as a compliment. I didn't realize safe was the last thing she wanted to feel before she walked away. 2 weeks before the wedding, everything collapsed. We were supposed to meet with the florist that afternoon, but Sophie texted me from work. "Can we talk tonight? Something important." I remember staring at the message for a long time. Can we talk? The 4 words nobody ever wants to read from the person they love. She came home late, quiet, pale. Didn't kiss me hello, didn't even take her coat off. Just stood in the doorway like she was trying to gather courage. I said, "What's going on?" She sat down on the couch, hands shaking, and said, "Dylan reached out." That name hit me like a punch. I didn't say anything at first. Just waited. She filled the silence fast. "He messaged me a few weeks ago. I didn't tell you because it was innocent at first. Just catching up. But we started talking more. And I realized I never really got closure with him." I just stared at her. "You're telling me this 2 weeks before our wedding?" Tears filled her eyes instantly, like she'd rehearsed this part. "I didn't plan for it to happen, Evan. When we talked, it felt like I was me again. The me I was before everything got so predictable." My throat tightened. "Predictable? You mean stable?" "I mean safe," she whispered. "You make me feel safe. And I love that about you, I do. But with Dylan, it's different. There's this spark. Like unfinished business. Like he's my true what if." I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I couldn't process how ridiculous it sounded. "You're calling off our wedding because of a what if." She nodded slowly, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I can't marry you when part of me still wonders what could have been. It wouldn't be fair to you." "That's your version of fairness?" She looked down. "I just need to know, Evan. I need to see if there's still something there. I owe it to myself." I felt my pulse in my ears. "You owe it to yourself? What about the people you invited? The money, the planning, my family, your family." "I know," she interrupted, crying harder. "I know, and I hate that I'm hurting you. But I can't go through with this. Not like this. I can't stand up there and promise forever when I'm not sure." I stood up. "So that's it. You want to throw away 4 years, a house, a wedding, a life, because your ex texted you?" She didn't look up. "I'm sorry." I took a deep breath and said quietly, "You're not sorry. You're just chasing nostalgia and calling it destiny." That made her flinch. For a moment, I thought she'd take it back, change her mind, beg me to talk. But she didn't. Instead, she whispered, "Maybe someday you'll understand." That was the last thing she said before she packed a bag and left. No fight, no drama, just the sound of the front door closing and then silence. The next morning, I canceled the florist appointment, then the caterer, then the venue. Every email felt like closing a coffin lid on something I'd buried overnight. Each time I called a vendor, they asked the same question: "Are you rescheduling or canceling?" I said the same thing every time: canceling. Half of them were sympathetic. The other half didn't care. They just reminded me the deposits were non-refundable. By noon, I'd lost over $8,000. I sat at the kitchen table surrounded by contracts and receipts, and for the first time in my life, I felt like a fool. She posted on Instagram that evening a photo of the sunset with a caption, "Sometimes you have to follow your heart, even when it hurts." I didn't follow her anymore after that, but people sent me screenshots, because of course they did. 2 days later, there she was, tagged in a photo with Dylan, sitting across from him at a restaurant, wine glasses raised, the caption reading, "Some things never fade." It was like watching someone burn down your house and smile for the camera while it collapsed. I didn't text her. I didn't call. I didn't send angry messages or subtweets or anything. I just sat there in the quiet, looking at my phone, feeling everything inside me go numb. Her sister texted me a few days later. "She's confused right now. Please don't hate her." I wrote back, "I don't. I just don't recognize her." That weekend, my parents drove up to help me box up the wedding stuff. My mom cried more than I did. My dad, a man who almost never swore, muttered, "What a damn waste." I kept my composure the whole time. It was like my emotions had shut off. When we were done, my dad said quietly, "Son, don't do anything rash. Time will make her regret it." I nodded. She already will. And deep down, I knew he was right. But I also knew something else. I wasn't going to just let her walk away without owning the consequences. She wanted to chase her what if. Fine. She could pay for it, literally. After she left, the house went quiet in a way that didn't feel natural. It wasn't peace. It was emptiness, the kind of silence that follows after something explodes. For a few days, I just functioned. Ate when I remembered to. Slept when exhaustion finally won. I didn't cry or rage or call her. I just kept moving because stopping felt like drowning. Everywhere I looked, there were reminders. The half-assembled wedding favors in the guest room. The Tux rental reminder email. A stack of unopened RSVP cards sitting on the counter. It all felt like evidence of my own stupidity. The thing that really broke me wasn't even the cheating. It was the way she left. The calmness, the self-justification, the complete confidence that she was doing the right thing. She really believed she was the victim of her own heart. After a week of staring at contracts and bills, I sat down with a calculator. The numbers weren't emotional. They were clean, precise. That's what I needed, something I could control. Venue deposit, $4,200. Catering, $3,600. Florist, $1,100. Photographer, $1,000. Miscellaneous, around $1,500. Over $11,000 gone in 2 weeks because she'd suddenly decided to chase her what if. I started reading through the fine print on every contract, trying to figure out what could be recovered. That's when I noticed something interesting. Everything was booked under my name. The vendors had my signature, my email, my card. Legally, the responsibility and the authority was mine. The next morning, I called my friend Marcus, who happened to be a lawyer. We'd gone to college together, and he'd been one of the groomsmen. When I explained the situation, he didn't interrupt once. Just listened. When I finished, he said, "You're not gonna like this answer emotionally, but legally, you've got options." "What kind of options?" I asked. She broke an implied contract. The wedding was a mutual financial commitment. You both agreed to the expenses, the date, the intent. If she backed out, you can pursue reimbursement for her share. It's civil, not criminal, but it's enforceable. I leaned back. "So I can sue her?" He hesitated. "Technically, yes. Small claims court or mediation." "I'd go mediation first. It's cleaner." I sat there in silence for a long moment. It wasn't about revenge. It was about accountability. I said, "Draw it up." Marcus sighed. "You sure?" "I'm done paying for her choices," I said. "If she wanted closure, this will help her close something." He chuckled at that, then promised to send me a draft by the end of the day. That night, I wrote Sophie an email. No emotion, just facts. Subject: Wedding deposit. Sophie, following your decision to call off the wedding, I've canceled all pending contracts. Total deposits paid, $11,375. Since you were equally responsible for these costs, I'll be pursuing reimbursement for your share, $5,687.50. Marcus has sent over a formal notice of mediation. You'll receive it tomorrow. I hope this resolves things cleanly. Evan, no insults. No guilt trips. Just math. The next afternoon, my phone rang. It was her. I answered, mostly out of curiosity. "Evan, what the hell is this?" she snapped. Her voice was sharp, no trace of the weepy tone she'd used when she left. "A financial summary," I said. "You canceled the wedding. You're responsible for half." "Are you serious right now? After everything that happened?" "Exactly because of everything that happened," I said calmly. She exhaled sharply. "I didn't cheat on you. I just needed to find myself. You're punishing me for being honest." I almost laughed. "Honesty doesn't mean immunity, Sophie. You made a choice. I'm just asking you to pay for it." "You're unbelievable," she hissed. "You think this makes you the bigger person? Suing your ex-fiancé?" I said no. It makes me a responsible adult who's done subsidizing your self-discovery. Silence. Then the faint sound of her sniffling. "I can't believe you're doing this to me." "You already did it to yourself," I said, and hung up. Over the next few weeks, word got around. Her friends, the same ones who had been posting heart emojis under her new photos with Dylan, started going quiet. Her family, on the other hand, called me relentlessly. Her mother left a voicemail saying, "You're breaking her down, Evan. She's just confused. You were supposed to love her through that." I deleted it without replying. Marcus handled everything. Sophie ignored the first notice. The second one, too. But when the third came with a court date attached, she finally texted me. "Can we please just talk about this? No lawyers." "We already did," I replied. She showed up at mediation looking exhausted, makeup barely covering the stress. She avoided eye contact the whole time. The mediator went through the expenses line by line. I was calm, polite, factual. Sophie's voice kept breaking every time she spoke, insisting, "I never meant for this to get ugly." At the end, She agreed to pay me back monthly. $300 a month until it was done. She signed the agreement with a trembling hand. Afterward, as we were leaving, she stopped me by the door. "Do you hate me?" she asked quietly. I shook my head. "No, but I don't respect you either." She flinched like I'd slapped her. And for the first time since she left, I felt something that almost resembled relief. Not happiness, not revenge, just the weight of being done. 2 months passed before I heard her name again. By then, the payments had started coming in, small, consistent transfers labeled court settlement. I never replied or acknowledged them. It was clean, distant, exactly how I wanted it. I'd started rebuilding my life. I canceled our joint gym membership, donated her leftover things, and moved to a new apartment closer to my office. No photos, no decorations yet, just space that felt like mine again. Then one night, Marcus called me out of the blue. "You might want to sit down for this." "What now?" I asked, half expecting another complaint from Sophie's parents. He snorted. "Nah, it's better than that. Dylan, the what-if guy? He dumped her." I paused. "What?" "Yeah. Apparently, he ghosted her a few weeks after she moved in with him. Just packed up and left while she was at work. Her landlord called the cops because she was banging on his door screaming. I didn't say anything for a moment. Then, how do you even know this? Mutual friend of a friend. Word spreads fast when the town drama queen gets humbled. I almost felt bad. Almost. 2 days later, she texted me. "Evan, can we please talk? I just want to explain." I ignored it. A week later. "I know you hate me, but I'm in a really bad place. Please, just 5 minutes of your time." Ignored again. By the third message, the tone shifted. "You don't have to be cruel. I made a mistake. But you loved me once, right? Doesn't that mean anything?" That one stung a little, not because of what she said, but because I realized she still thought she had emotional leverage. Like our history was some kind of safety net she could fall back on. She didn't understand that when she walked out, she didn't just kill our future. She erased the version of me who would have cared. Then, out of nowhere, she called. I shouldn't have answered, but curiosity got the better of me. When I picked up, she sounded wrecked. "Evan." "Yeah." Her voice cracked. I needed to hear a familiar voice. "Everything's falling apart." I leaned back in my chair. "What happened?" She took a shaky breath. "He's gone." "Dylan." "He just disappeared. He blocked my number, changed jobs, everything. I can't find him." I stayed silent. And now I'm stuck in this stupid apartment I can barely afford. My parents said they can't keep bailing me out, and the bills are piling up. I feel like I ruined everything. "You did," I said simply. She let out a choked laugh. "You don't have to be so cold. Cold is all that's left, Sophie. You didn't cry for me when you walked away." Her breathing hitched. "I thought I was doing the right thing. You weren't. You were chasing something you romanticized in your head. And when reality showed up, you ran out of people to blame." Silence. Then a whisper. "I miss you." I sighed. "You miss the stability. The safety net. Not me." "That's not true." "It is," I said. "And that's exactly why this conversation ends here." I hung up before she could respond. For a few weeks, she kept reaching out. Long texts about regret, late-night calls I never picked up, even a letter in the mail saying she was working on herself. I believed her for about 10 seconds, until I noticed she still hadn't missed a single payment. That's when I realized something funny. The only reason she was consistent now was because she had to be. A court order did what love never could, made her responsible. And honestly, that was all the closure I needed. 6 months later, I ran into her by accident. It was a random Tuesday afternoon. I was grabbing coffee downtown, and she walked in behind me. I recognized her voice before I even turned around. "Evan." I turned slowly. She looked smaller. Not physically, just dimmer. Like life had drained some of the light she used to fake so easily. She forced a smile. Hey. There was an awkward pause. I could tell she was waiting for me to say something, maybe invite her to sit. I didn't. "How have you been?" she asked softly. "Good," I said. "Work's been solid. I bought a new car." "That's great," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. "I'm glad things are going well for you." I nodded. "You?" She hesitated. "I'm figuring things out. Still paying you back." I noticed. Her eyes dropped to the floor. "I know you probably hate hearing from me, but I really am sorry. For everything. I didn't realize how much I was throwing away until it was gone." I studied her for a second. The old me would have said something comforting. maybe even believed her. But the version of me standing there wasn't angry anymore, just detached. I believe you're sorry, I said finally. But that doesn't change anything. She looked up, eyes glassy. Do you ever think we could? No, I cut in gently. Some things you don't get to redo. Her lips trembled. He wasn't worth it, Evan. None of it was. I know, I said. But you still chose it. That hit her harder than I expected. She nodded slowly, tears forming, then whispered, I hope you find someone who actually deserves you. I gave her a small nod. I already did. Her face froze for a second, then she forced a smile. Good. You deserve that. What I didn't tell her was that someone was me. I finally chose myself. My peace, my self-respect, my sanity. She left first. I watched her walk away, shoulders slumped, blending into the crowd. And for the first time since everything ended, I didn't feel anger, sadness, or nostalgia. Just closure. As I stepped outside, my phone buzzed. Another payment notification. The message underneath read, Sophie B. has sent you $300, court settlement payment June 12th. I smiled, pocketed my phone, and took a slow sip of coffee. She was still paying for her what if. I was finally living my what's next. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.